Hey, Shabbat Shalom. That means have peace on this Sabbath in ancient Hebrew for all you English speakers. I just wanted to get into this video and give some scriptural references to the thing that's being spoken about regarding this Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan interview. You're going to see that he keeps calling this brother misogynistic for certain reasons, and we're going to actually find out, is it really what we consider misogyny, or is it just a man being a man when he in regards to having authority over his woman in a righteous manner? Because some of the brothers coming in this American society, you're going to see that they are not allowed to even express masculinity without it being talked about in a condescending way, as if it's toxic to be a man. I see Dawada, Officer Dawada, Shalom King. This is gonna be a brief one. I'm not gonna go too long. I just want to play this video for a good maybe 10 minutes, show some of the main points, and just show some scriptures to validate, with the brother Andrew Tate, because I'm sure he doesn't really know this truth or even know these things are in the scriptures, and that, there's a lot of godliness to him that he might not realize, because he's not in this truth. He's not walking in faith. So, I just want to show those people that do tune into his channel and that did watch this Piers Morgan interview. And if y'all haven't seen it, go check it out. It was a decent interview. You're gonna see it was a lot of foul play on Piers Morgan's behalf, but what you expect, man, that brother's a racist and a just an idiot. I just have to say it just plain out. You want to hide the truth. Piers Morgan was a fool in that video, and I want people to actually watch this video that I'm about to put, and I'm gonna go through scriptures as we play out. And the main reason why I'm going to the scriptures for this, because I know the majority of this earth, there's more people that believe and have religious beliefs. A lot of people that claim they're Catholic and Christians, over half the world that believe that. Even Muslims, you got religious beliefs that are stem from the actual Bible. So I want to go into the Bible and show y'all that according to most of y'all's belief, y'all should be agreeing to some degree with Andrew Tate. I'm not saying agree with him about everything. And there was a lot of things in the video to where I can see that he was trying to be real careful, but me personally, I'm not worried about being careful. I'm worried about being honest, even if it's brutally honest, so we're going to get right into this video. And like I said, I'm gonna break down certain things with scriptures, and we even gonna get into that definition of authority, because a man shouldn't have no problem having authority in his household. If a man has to have an issue with having authority in his household, then a man can't even do what is required to protect his family. So let's get into it. Without further ado, let's just hop right into it.
When I've gone over everything that's been at the center of the debate about Andrew Tate, I come down with Joe Rogan in the sense that there's a lot of stuff you say I agree with. I've got 3 sons in their 20s. It's not easy actually being a young male in the modern world. And I think a lot of the things that you say about that can resonate with them. The problem comes with the, 10, 20% or whatever of your output, which on the face of it appears to be blatant misogyny. And when you couple that with your massive influence and huge reach, that is why the social media companies have decided to effectively cancel you.
Now, I just want to say something, because I haven't started sharing this video yet, but I want to post up a scripture real fast, because he's going to bring out something that I want to touch. And this is, let me okay. So now I'm about to play the video, actually play the video. computer's. Okay, there it goes. So now it should be able to stream. So here it goes. Check this video out.
I don't believe in cancellation. I don't believe in censorship particularly. That's why I've invited you to come on the show. But I do think a lot of the things you've said are blatant misogyny. Do you accept that?
So you made a very interesting point there. You just said on the face of it appear to be blatantly misogynistic. I understand that on the face of some of the long format content I've made, if you're going to take a few seconds out of hours, chop it up, put it all over social media, accompanied with my massive fame, then things can absolutely not be taken out of context. I do not hate women in any regard. I have no negative relationship with women. No women have come forward saying I've hurt them. I have no criminal record for hurting women. There's no way I can be seen as the face or the devil in regards to how men treat women on the planet. I'm absolutely and utterly the opposite. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. There's been large contingents of people who have tried very hard to purport lies about me. And the truth of the matter is I've been producing content for a very long time. Hours and hours of videos been cut down to 2 or 3 seconds of clip. Those clips have gone viral and people misunderstand me.
But I think you've used this phrase of being taken out of context. And I'm not sure that is correct in the sense that it still comes out of your mouth. And some of the things some of the things you've said, I just think are blatantly.
Well, let's do them.
Let's go through some.
Sure.
Right. So you said this about Me Too stroke rape. This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania. In Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. You go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988. They'll say, well, you should have done something about it back then.
Yeah, so the point I was making was obviously at the height of the Me Too scandal, and also if we look at Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, there's been a lot of high-profile cases where men have been accused of things they did not do without evidence, and their lives have been completely and utterly destroyed. Right. When I say these things, people sit and say that, oh, he hates women. I don't hate women. I think rape is disgusting. I would take a stronger stance on rape than the British government. I think these people should face the death penalty. But to sit and say that women without evidence can go forward and just make up accusations against men, even though they've been repeatedly proven to destroy men's lives at will, is absolutely not.
What about a woman who was raped back in 1988 and goes to the police?
Then the man should face absolute and complete justice.
But you understand that when that clip appears on TikTok as a clip, and all right,
as a clip, completely
okay, but it's still something that came out of your mouth. Do you accept that when that appears on TikTok, a lot of young, maybe not as smart?
Now I'm gonna hold it right there because he addressed something. He addressed something that I just want to make very, very clear. And that's the when it comes to rape, right? There's actually a law in the Bible that tells you if a woman doesn't utter, and I'm gonna get the verse so I don't butcher it, but I'm gonna make sure that we get the understanding that what he just said, what Tate just said, is practically, even though it's not word for word, you know how he said it, it's in the Bible, and this is what the Bible says about that matter, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 23. It said, if a damsel, that is a virgin, be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out of the gate, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. So it's talking about a woman that is married to another person, or, you know, just in general, this woman literally didn't say anything when she laid with this man, you know, or say she was raped, so-called rape. If a person was raped, why wouldn't you say anything? The only logical explanation is because you consented to it in most cases, you know, because it's unreasonable for years and years to not utter or cry out to anybody about these things, being in a city, you know. So according to the law, both that man and that woman will be stoned. But I'm gonna read more. It said, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lie with her shall die. And this is the reason why, right here, verse 26 and 27. He said, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. Meaning she wouldn't get put to death for the damsel. Why? There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as a man riseth against his neighbor and slay him, even so is this matter. Because just forcing her and raping her You know what I'm saying? It's like slaying a man. Verse 27. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Meaning he found her in the field and raped her. And that woman, she cried out. She went and uttered it to people. She let people know. So was none to save her. There was nobody that can help her in that situation. So she wouldn't have been worthy of death. She wouldn't. There's no sin worthy of death in her, according to verse 26. So that's the main thing that I just wanted to bring out when it in regard to what they said right there. But I want to finish playing this video because it's a lot more that goes into it.
Smart as you, young men, right? Impressionable, teenagers will read that and go, what's he saying here? Is he saying that rape doesn't exist?
No, I completely. I'm not going to sit here as a professional and say that I can't be taken out of context. What I will say is that one small sentence you've taken was from a 1-hour video where I explained that, of course, rape is disgusting. Of course, everybody should be punished for their crimes regardless of when they happen. But people are not perfect, male and female. And if you give women the opportunity to destroy men's lives without evidence, there's going to be a contingent of women who will do that. I'm trying to make a balanced and nuanced argument in a world where people have no attention span. They're going to take a few seconds, put it online, decide someone's good or bad, not be interested in the longer format video. And here I am. No, I'm certainly a person who takes personal responsibility. That's who I am as a person. But we live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Do you think women are the property of men?
No. The point I was making.
Why have you said they are?
Because I made a religious point. I said that when a man marries a woman, the woman's father walks her down the aisle, and hands her away to the man. Traditionally, this is what it says in the Bible. I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I live in the most.
So you do think that the woman becomes the men?
I think she takes his last name.
I mean, let's watch the clip that you said about
sure,
this so that we can get it in context.
So I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. True or false?
Absolutely.
But I've been married twice, as it turns out, and on both occasions, I didn't believe that the woman was being handed to me as chattel, as property.
Now, I want to address this right here too, because this damn Edomite, Piers Morgan, and I hope he eventually hears this and hears that he's an Edomite, the damn devil. I want to address what he just said, because he just pretty much equated property, all type of properties, to cattle. Like cattle is the only type of property you can have. Property just means something that you own, something that belongs to you. Something that you have that pertains to only you, right? Something that you are in charge of. That's what a property is. Just like when a criminal goes to jail. I ain't even gonna say a criminal go to jail, because you don't gotta be a criminal to get arrested especially in this society. But when you get locked up, what are you known as? State property. Property of whatever county that you are in. You as a man is known as property, right? So I don't hear Piers Morgan mentioning that and talking about that and how these prisoners are considered property by their state and by the federal government. So I want to hit a scripture, and this is one a lot of people don't read, because the Jesuits took this book out in the 1800s. Is the Protestant church, they took this out and out of most Bibles, but you can still get Bibles with the Apocrypha in it. So I'm gonna read this. This is the book of Sirach. Y'all can see it right here on the screen. Sirach 36 verse 24. It says, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest." So what does that word possession equate to? That's your property. She belongs to you. That's your woman. So I just want to go back, and I really want people to pay attention to what he's saying, because what this man is about to go on to say doesn't line up with the Bible. But before I do that, I wanna play this verse, read this verse right here. This is all the way in the beginning of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 16. He says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Meaning, there's no 50-50, there's no equality. You belong to him. The Most High set that up from the beginning, but in this society, our women are propagated to think completely different than what the Bible says regarding her place in the man's place. So having authority over your woman is way out of the question when it comes to this society. But if you believe in the Bible, you believe in any of the so-called religions that come from the Bible, then you should believe in these verses right here. So with that, I want to finish go into more what this man is about to say.
Perhaps the way the reason I'm asked that question repeatedly, and I'm asked.
And by the way, Brother Andrew pretty much said that he is religious. Yeah, he might not understand he's a Hebrew, and that he's supposed to be walking in the faith of the Hebrews, of the Israelites, in the faith of Christ, the true Christ, Hamashiach Yahweh. So, but even though he's doesn't understand the truth, he still by nature has a certain degree of understanding masculinity that was instilled to him, most likely from his father, that he always talks about in other videos. So let's check this out.
A loaded way.
So would you rephrase what you said there?
Now, that's a good interesting point about phrasing. The way I would say things before I was famous, I have to take personal responsibility and accept that if I make a video that 500 people see and 1% of them misunderstand it, that's not a problem. If I make a video that 5 million people see and 1% of them understand.
So specifically on that point, I think my sister is her husband's property.
She took his last name. She married him. She wanted to join his family. She has said it herself.
Right. So she's
still a sovereign individual. She's absolutely not.
But property means that the husband owns your sister.
Listen, my friend, if we want to argue about this, we need to go back to the Bible, to the Quran. You need to argue with religious.
No, I'm not talking about anything in the Bible or Quran.
But that's what it says.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I think that if a woman marries a man and she decides to take his last name, that they have different roles and responsibilities within that marriage, and I believe that.
That's not the question.
I believe the father. The father hands her.
Don't behave like a politician.
The father hands her to the man.
Right, but don't be a politician, because I think you're a straight talker, right? You keep telling me you're a straight talker. I think my sister is her husband's property. Do you?
So with that right there, I just want to address that too, because a father, just like he said, the father and the mother, they have authority over the child. The father is at the top of that authority in the house, right? The father has authority over the child. And it's funny because Piers Morgan goes on to admit that he has legal authority over his children. Whether you have legal authority, what about if the law didn't exist? Are you saying that you wouldn't have authority over your children if there was no legalities involved? If the law and the government wasn't involved in your life, when you have children, you wouldn't have authority over them? That's the loaded nonsense, like the brother was pointing out. So the thing is, you have authority over your children, right? The thing is, a father has authority over his daughter. Once it's time to marry his daughter off, he's handing the authority over from himself and giving it to that man. That man is now the authority over her. But this buffoon clearly doesn't understand that, but you wouldn't expect a pig in a blanket to understand these spiritual things and its moral concepts, because so-called white man doesn't have that. They don't have that moral compass. So let's read. I don't want to digress. But let's just follow along now.
You regret saying it like that.
I understand that with my newfound fame, perhaps it could be phrased differently. However, I still believe that a woman is given to the man in marriage. That's what I believe.
Yeah, but not as property.
The property is the word that other people use when they ask me the question.
But as an equal partner in a loving union, that's what marriage actually means. It doesn't mean that when you get married, the woman is given to you as a bit of chattel.
Agreed. So why say it?
Notice he kept saying the woman is not given to you as chattel, like you're going to treat her like a cow or a damn donkey. He keeps saying, well, she's not given. She is given to you, not as a cow or a farm animal. Just like, you were given a house from your father. you got inherited a house from your father. Yeah, it's given it to you, but you can't treat that house like it's an animal. Matter of fact, and even with animals, you have to, hopefully a person would take care of those. But when you're talking about a human being, of course, just like your children, you have authority over them. You know what I'm saying? That you don't treat them like chattel or so-called cattle. So the brother, the Edomite here, Piers Morgan, you see what he's doing. He's just trying to do his best to make it seem like it's supposed to be an equality within how a marriage is run. When there's scriptures, the scriptures is where we get the ideal of marriage from. The Most High God created man and woman, and that was the original marriage was with Adam and Eve when he gave Eve to Adam. He didn't deal with her like a cow or a sheep, as chattel. That was the original marriage. That was the first marriage ever, because there was nobody around. It was just them two. They married. He pulled literally her from his bone in the flesh. I don't want to get into all the scientific things about it, but for the most part, Adam and Eve, they were married. And when you talk about equality, there was no equality. He said the man shall rule over the woman, not any equality, not them both ruling over each other. That doesn't even make sense. Two people can't rule over each other. So let's finish this off.
But that's the way that people ask me the question. People say to me, they ask.
Oh, hang on! You can't blame people for asking you questions. Surely, if you want to be accountable for what you've said, you've got to own your responses. Don't blame the question.
I own the response.
Like me asking you a question now, and you say something, and then say, "Well, actually, I blame you for asking."
I understand, Piers. Piers, I understand. I believe the woman is given to the man. I believe she's given away by the father. I believe she belongs to the man.
So she belongs to the man. So fundamentally, you do believe that a woman becomes a man's property.
I believe she belongs to the man in marriage. Correct.
Right. You see, that to me is misogyny.
And you're entitled to your opinion.
Right. But do you not understand why people think it is misogyny?
I understand why some people can be very offended by what I say. What they do is they take a point like that and they ignore all the other points I make the other way around.
Yeah, but that's why I've repeatedly asked you about that line to see if you've changed your position. But the reality is you haven't.
It's not about changing positions. I'm a full-grown adult and I stick by the things I say and I'm responsible for them.
Which, by the way, is fine.
Absolutely.
But what you did say at the start of this little exchange, you said, I wouldn't maybe say things the same way now that I did before I was famous. And yet, actually, you've doubled down and said exactly the same thing.
On certain points.
So that is what you believe. That's my point.
Yes.
I'm trying to work out, look, I don't know you. We've just met, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out who Andrew Tate is and what you actually believe. I don't want to twist anything at all.
Then let me make it very, very clear to the camera. I believe a woman is given to the man in marriage. I believe that. I also believe a man has a duty to protect and provide for her. I believe a man should lay down his life if something happens or his wife's life is threatened. I believe that women and children first are on the lifeboats.
But men,
I believe that men.
But a man doesn't own a woman.
It's not. No. It's
unless they literally buy them as a slave.
Well, obviously, we're not talking about that. We're talking about religious, biblical marriage. We're talking about something else.
Yeah, but I'm a Christian. I don't believe that I own my wife.
Do you believe your wife was?
Oh, so this fool just said he's a Christian. So without understanding the scriptures regarding marriage, this fool just said he was a Christian. I want to pull out a few scriptures real fast. I'm gonna first start with this one. This is 1 Corinthians. Y'all can see this on y'all screen. I'm gonna start from verse 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and I'm gonna read verse 3. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start from verse 2. He says, "Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things." Clearly, Piers Morgan doesn't remember what Paul is saying right here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made the statement he just made. He said, "And keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you." Meaning, there's an ordinance with the Most High God. He just said in Genesis 3 that the man should rule over his woman. That means to have authority over his woman. He also is said that she is his possession. So now it's saying, verse 3, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God." So the head of the woman, the authority over the woman, just like the man's authority is Christ, Christ's authority is God, The woman's authority is the man. The man has authority over the woman. He is the head. That's all that head is equating to. Is that he is over her. He is put over her. He's put in charge of her, right? So now I want to read another verse. This is the book of Nehemiah, because the brother Andrew Tate said, you know, he believed in laying down his life for his wife and his kids, you know, and that's how it's supposed to be, you know. A man's supposed to be the protector, be willing to put his life on the line, you know. So this is Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 14. He said, I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and unto the rulers and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses. So we got to fight for our sons and our daughters and our wives, our homes, our people, our families, our brethren. We got to fight for those, you know, and he's willing to, in order to fight for something, you got to be willing to die for it. When you fight for it, what does that mean? You're doing what you have to do to protect it from harm. You're fighting for it. That's why the scripture says here, remember the Lord. Remember the Lord is the one that set this type of order up, you know. So this guy Piers Morgan clearly doesn't understand the Bible, but I don't want to digress again. I want to finish this off.
It's given away to you when she took your last name.
I believe that there is a process where a father traditionally walks his daughter down the aisle and hands his daughter to this man, and they stand there and become a union of two loving people in a partnership. No, there's no ownership involved.
I didn't say
he's not selling her. The father of the bride isn't selling his daughter.
So now I want to address that, because in order to own something, he pretty much saying you have to buy it. You don't have to buy something to own it. First of all, you can be given something without having to pay for it. But I want to actually, now that he mentioned that, I want to get a scripture real fast that show you that by the scripture, the same Bible we claim to believe in, we did give dowries. We did get dowries for virgins. When our wives were virgins, we actually gave dowries in the Bible. So let's get it. And I didn't make this Bible up, so you know, don't come for me. Just understand this is in the Bible. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 16. It said, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. I'm going to read on. And if the father refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Made of a man sleep with a woman without her father knowing. And then for the father, you know what I'm saying, he goes to the father and be like, well, I want to marry her. The father can have the right to refuse. And if the father refused, you know what I'm saying, just so whoredom wouldn't run rapid in the nation, that man would still have to keep that wife, but he would have to be able to afford the money, the dowry of virgins. He would have to pay what we would call a bride fee. So let's go back now. Let's go back and finish watching. So I'm just pointing these things out, that he's saying a lot of things from a Christian perspective, but he doesn't even believe in the Bible clearly, because we just pointed out everything he's saying. We can find scriptures that go against it, and they actually, this brother with his ideal of religion, even though he doesn't have the same understanding as I do or as us Hebrews that know who we are, he still has a degree of understanding that is biblical.
No, absolutely.
That's what property means.
She becomes a member of your family.
Is it?
I think we're arguing over semantics.
We're not, though, because fundamentally, I don't believe a man owns a woman. You do.
Well, I don't think a man owns any sovereign individual. I don't think we live in the world of slavery. I don't own any man or any woman.
Right.
Nobody owns
When you use phrases like property, that's what you imply.
I understand.
And so my point again is, you're a smart guy, right?
Correct.
There's no denying that. You're a smart.
And he's correct.
You're a good
That's
talker.
the thing
I've seen
is,
lots
he's
of stuff.
correct.
But when what
He
I don't
just
think
doesn't
you quite
understand
fully
it.
understand
No, I
is
understand
that
very well.
when
Piers.
young, impressionable people
I
who
understand
are
that very
not
well.
as smart see things like, I think my sister is her husband's property, yes, and you've just reaffirmed that belief. They think that they have the right to own women.
I understand that
that's
very
true.
well, Piers. Which
And
is
That's
why
why people think you're.
And you see the brother, just so he doesn't seem just so he's not seen in a dark light or in a dark state by the audience and by the people that are watching. He's not agree. He agreed that, well, when I say property, that I actually mean property, but he's also denying that his brother would own his wife. Yeah, your brother does own his wife. And for this guy, Piers Morgan, to make you feel ashamed about it, he should be ashamed of himself. And you got to be a little stronger, Andrew Tate, because you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with just coming straight out of it and saying how you feel. You would do that on any other platform, like you do on Fresh and Fit. You would have just came out and been like, hey, you know, yeah, that's his property. He owns you, you know. You can, you know, now in this society, you have a choice to where you can leave him and there's not much he can do about it. But in a society before this Western construct of America, a woman wouldn't even be allowed to just leave in most cases without death following behind her, without being stoned to death. So unless her husband divorced her, right? So with that said, let's just finish watching.
Completely. I understand all of this very well, which is why when you're saying I was backtracking, I'm not.
Do you have any regret, though, over the way you phrased this stuff?
Well, this is the point I was trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is when I was not nearly as famous and I was making long format content, I was not sitting there anticipating I'd become the most Googled man on the planet and that few seconds could be taken out of context. That was not my anticipation.
No, but it's still what you believe. It's what you believe now. So what's the difference?
It's not about, you're asking me, you're saying that young people who are
impressionable. If you said to me, look, Piers, honestly, I've had time to think about this and I wish I hadn't said it, I don't believe that. That's one thing. Actually, you said the opposite. You said, actually, that's what I think, yeah.
I think that when
it doesn't really matter whether you recorded it when you're famous or not famous. It's what you actually believe, right?
I believe that a man has a duty to protect and provide for a woman. I believe that a woman's father gives her away to the man. That's what I believe, and that's in my marriage. That's the circumstance I'm going to live under. If people want to live in a different scenario, that's completely theirs. Their prerogative.
You went on to say,
you know what? I'm actually going to find a scripture that proves that point too, because that's also in the Bible. This is in the book of Jeremiah 29. Check this out. Come and check this out. Now and I love this online app right here. This is the King James Bible Online. And no matter what version that you use, they're going to be all speaking these same things, just in different words. But these is the things that the scriptures actually say that a lot of our people don't like to read, let alone get the understanding of. So where we at? Let me get it. I want to make sure I get the full scripture. Okay. And get the whole chapter. So y'all can see this on y'all screen. Y'all be able to read along with me, right? Right. Now this is Jeremiah chapter 29, and I'm gonna start from verse 6. Right here, I'm gonna highlight it for y'all. Right there, it says Jeremiah 29 verse 6. Take ye wives, and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands. So is that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased, they are not diminished. So he's telling you how to give your children to the sons and how to marry your children off. That you don't just let them grow up and just pick and choose anybody in the world to be with, making all these bad decisions. That's why we have 80% of the mothers in a black community are single. They're single mothers. 80% of them are single mothers. That's a ridiculously high percentage. You know, many of them have children with multiple men. There's no structure. There's nothing like family like it should be. You know, the marriage rate is very, very low. It's less than 70% for it's over 70% of our women are not married. Around 50 to 60% of our men don't get married. You know, and for those ones that do get married, majority of them are marrying women outside of their race. And that's a big problem for our black men. You know what I'm saying? But it says, take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your son, and give daughters to your give your daughters to husband, meaning you give them to their husband. If you give them to your husband, to their husband, that means you're giving him to her. That means she is now his. She now belongs to her husband. So now let's get finish this off now.
Say about authority over women. If I have a responsibility over, I must have a degree of authority. Yeah. For the same reason, if I have responsibility over and people are going to use their mind, it's an example, an analogy. Responsibility over a child, I have to have some authority. Yeah. So you believe as part of your ownership or your property of the woman, you have authority over her.
No, I believe if you have
that's what you said.
I believe if you have responsibility over something, you have to have a degree of authority. You can't be responsible.
Yeah, but authority means, again, that you're the boss.
The point I'm making, if you'll please let me finish at this point. The point I was trying to make was talking about the safety of a woman. She was walking alone at night. And I was saying, well, I wouldn't let my woman walk alone at night. And they said, well, you're not in charge of her. You don't get to decide what she does. I said, I understand. But if I'm responsible for her safety and I'm the person who's burdened with making sure she is safe, I have to have the authority to say, don't put yourself in unsafe situations. The two things are linked.
Well, you have authority. You have you can absolutely have the right to say to the woman you're with, I don't think you should. But ultimately,
if she decides, then I can't force her.
Right. So authority.
Now, I want to get the definition of authority now, because this is where really this brother is really off. Now, you heard Andrew Tate says by authority, he means he has the right to make the decision on whether, you know, on what goes on when it comes to his woman, right? Now, let's get the word authority real fast, because this brother actually just Andrew Tate just actually gave you the definition of authority without even giving you the definition like I'm about to give you out of the dictionary. And this guy, Piers Morgan, he just tried to null and void it, even though he's actually giving you the right understanding of what the word authority. Now, here it goes, the word authority. It says the power or right. Remember, Andrew Tate said he has the right to give orders or make decisions. It says the power or the right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. That's what authority is. Look, now we got some synonyms. Similar. Power, jurisdiction. You do have jurisdiction over your wife. Command, you have command over her. Control, that's what it is. They hate that word control, but hey, if things are not in control, then they're out of control. And you as the head have to have the utmost control in their relationship. Well, the Most High has to have the supreme control, but you have to have the utmost control. And it says mastery, charge, you know. So those are that's the definition of authority right there. Just remember that word, or the right to give orders or make decisions, right? A man has the right to make decisions over his wife, especially when it comes to the fact that she's the weaker vessel according to the scriptures. So now I want to get back to this. And let's watch it.
Implies that you have the ability to control someone.
No, authority implies that I have the moral right to sit and say that that's an irresponsible thing to do, and I'm responsible for
that's not what authority means.
Well,
see,
I'm not going to.
He just said that's not what authority means, but we just read that is what the word authority means. It was the first definition. All I had to do was Google the word authority, and the first thing that pop up is what he is denying that authority means. What a and these are the type of men that you know, you would think, oh well, look at this Edomite. He must look in his nice little suit. You would think he's actually smart. This brother is not smart. You know what I'm saying? You got people that come from poverty, come from the hood that are smarter than this. This brother is not even smart when you consider that he doesn't even know the definition, a basic definition of the word authority.
I'm going to lock somebody up in their room. Is that what you're implying?
No, I don't think you know what authority means.
I know what it means. I'm saying that if
I just a different description of what authority.
If I have responsibility for her safety, then I have to have the authority to tell no.
Now he just said he gave a different description of what authority is when he really just gave you the definition. I just read how, like I said, this brother is slow and he's trying to do his best point without using real knowledge and wisdom to try to refute this brother's actually being logical and actually giving the right definition.
Not to do unsafe.
Yeah, but authority means that you have some form of control over this woman.
If you could have your own Walmart store making that.
Now, I hate these commercials on YouTube, so I'm definitely
decide someone's good or bad. Don't be
and
interested in the longer format video. And here I am. No, I'm certainly a person who takes personal responsibility. That's who I am as a person. But we live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Do you think women are the property of men?
No. The point I was making.
Why have you said they are?
Because I made a religious point. I said that when a man marries a woman, the woman's father walks her down the aisle, and hands her away to the man. Traditionally, this is what it says in the.
Now, before we go on, I want to read the definition of the word husband. This is from etymology dictionary, meaning this is where the etymology of the word husband comes from. This is what literally the word husband means. Husband. Let me turn this off. I want y'all to see this. I'm gonna bring it out on my phone. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna just go on here and screen share it because it's kind of hard to show up on my phone. So this is etymology. Etymology. Online dictionary, right? Now we're gonna go to this dictionary and I'm gonna type in the word husband. Just bear with me. Okay. Typing in the word husband, right? Now, as y'all can see, and I'm gonna highlight it for y'all. We're gonna it's not allowing me to highlight. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna highlight this for y'all so y'all can see what the word husband actually means. Because he's like, oh, well, that means you're the boss and you're in control and blah, blah, blah. You know, check this out. This is the word husband. It comes from the Old English word husbanda. It says a male head of household, master of a house. So he's the master of the house. Householder, probably from Old Norse husbandi, master of the house, literally house dweller, from house, bondage, dweller, freeholder. Now this definition says peasant, from buandi, present, participle, bua, to dwell, to exist, grow, compare bond, slang shortening, hubby is attested by 1680s. Dang, hubby goes all the way back to the 1680s. It says, as a married man in a relation to his wife, it become the companion word of wife. A sad loss. Okay. So that pretty much tell you he was the master of the house, the master of that household. Meaning what? You are in control of the household. You are in charge of the household. You are the master. Like we just read, that was one of the synonyms for authority, master. Okay, and this is managed thriftily, from husband, an obsolete sense of steward. Okay, look, head of family, like we read, Christ is the head of man, and the Most High is the head of Christ, and the man is the head of the wife, you know, or the man is the head of the woman, right? He said, head of family. It can mean former or tiller of ground. That's talking about husband, man. Okay. So for the most part, we see that there's actually a definition that goes into being the master of the house. And if you're the master of the household or the master of the wife, then that means you are in charge of her by default. So let's go back. Let's go back. I want to finish where we left off.
I'm a religious person. I believe the father, I believe she belongs to, was not nearly as famous, and I was making long format content. I was not sitting there anticipating I'd become the most Googled man on the planet, and that few seconds could be taken out of context. That was not my anticipation.
No, but it's still what you believe.
If I have responsibility over said subject, I have to have authority over it. So let me say you have children, right?
Right.
You have responsibility for them.
No, I have legal authority over my children.
Now, look how he playing semantics. I have legal authority. You have authority over your kids, man. And if you don't, then you're a bad father. And I think Piers Morgan, even with these 3 kids he raised, he clearly a bad father because he don't feel like he had authority over them. They're probably wild as hell. You know how these Edomites be.
Children. That is very different having legal authority over my wife or my female partner.
Completely. But the point I'm trying to make.
So you accept that?
I accept that.
He shouldn't accept it because if it's your wife, whether it's legal by this government or not, you have authority over her because by the laws of the Most High God, by the Bible, put you in authority over her. Then what the government grants you, the Bible gives you authority over her, right? From what all the things we read so far.
The analogy of responsibility for a child,
my friend. These are
actually really important things.
They're important things, but you interrupt me every 5 seconds, so it's hard for me to actually explain my point. The point I'm making here is very simple. You have children, and you're responsible for their safety. So you're going to have authority to say, "Don't go out at night," perhaps because you want them to be safe.
I have legal authority.
You have a legal authority.
Yeah.
Legal authority. I'm saying that if I had a woman, and the question where you've raised this soundbite from, I was asked about protecting a woman, making sure she's safe, and I would say I wouldn't want her to go out at night on her own because I'm responsible for her safety. And someone said, "Well, you don't have authority over her to do that." And I said, "Well, no, I can't force her to stay inside. But if she were to ask me, how do I protect myself at night? I would say, well, you should stay inside. That's how you should do it."
I don't have an issue with what
so
you
we
said.
agree.
No.
It's the semantics.
No, it's not semantics. And this is what
And damn if she were to ask you, you know, because now again, I mean, Andrew Tate, shout out to him. He does a good job defending himself for the most part. But when it comes to stuff like this, man, check this out, man. You don't need the woman to ask you. If you saw your woman walking out the house, you know, at 2:00 in the night, you don't know what the hell is going on. She just wants to leave at 2:00 in the night. You'll be crazy not to say something to her and tell her hey, what the hell are you doing? Where are you going? You know what I'm saying? There's no need for you to be out this late, especially with the things that these women like to wear. These women of today, especially in the so-called Black community, they like to go out to the clubs at 1:00, 2:00 in the morning and kick it with their drunk friends. Any man will be responsible to allow that. To allow that means that you don't have authority. So in order to prevent that, you have to take authority and let her know that she's not allowed to do that. And in this society, they give her the power to, you know, and she do it anyway, then you need to leave that woman. You need to just leave her because she obviously don't submit to you. She don't submit to your authority, you know. So there's no reason to keep her around, you know, if she's going to keep putting herself in harm where you can't even protect her. And it's another thing where he's saying, well, I would try to reason with her, and if she still does it, you know what I'm saying, then what? If she still does it, then what? And I just read an article about a man who told his wife don't go out with her friends, and she went to the club and got drunk. Next thing you know, she ended up getting raped at the and then calling him coming back all beat up and stuff, you know, and he broke up with her. But the thing is, was he wrong for that? Was he wrong for breaking up with her? You know, or was she wrong for even going out against his wishes?
I don't think you quite get why there's a furore over what you say, with respect. Because the semantics point would be we're saying the same thing in different ways, but we're not. I'm saying to you that when you say I have to have some authority over a woman, I say to you, you have no right to any authority over a woman. You do over a child if it's your child, because you are the legal appointed guardian of that child.
Understood.
You're not a legally appointed guardian or authority over your wife or female partner.
Legally appointed, absolutely not.
He keep on saying you're not the legally guardian, all this crap. He's saying, what is a guardian? A guardian is somebody who guards you, who protects you. That's where the word guardian comes from, guard. How you gonna guard a woman that's unguardable? It's just saying the legal guardian. First of all, when you become married to someone, you legally have responsibility over them. As a man, especially, you legally have authority and responsibility over that person. So for him to say that you don't have legal guardianship, yeah, you have you have not only a moral right, you have a legal right to guard or protect that woman. Period.
I agree. However, when it comes to things like personal responsibility or personal safety, men, largely by society, are accepted. We're the protectors and providers. We can sit here and pretend that in the world we live in, if me and my wife were walking down the street and men were to come up and try and attack us, I wouldn't be the one fighting. But we both know in reality I would.
Right.
I have a degree of responsibility to protect her. So if I have a degree of responsibility to protect her physically, then the point I'm trying to make is I will do my best to make sure she's never putting herself in unsafe
Do you wish you hadn't used the word authority?
The authority is something that she would give to me. She would come to me and say, how can I make sure I'm as safe as possible?
But I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to point.
And that's in a world today, because the fathers are not there to give the daughters away. So the fathers are the one that's supposed to originally give you the authority over her. But since they're out of the picture in most cases, that woman if she's choosing you to be her man, then she has to give you the authority. She is literally giving you the authority over her by allowing you to be her man or submitting to you as your woman, which in a lot of these relationships of today don't work out because these women don't understand how to submit under the authority of a man.
Find out that's not what authority means.
If someone gives, a person can give
voluntary authority is not authority.
No, but that's the point.
It's not.
Piers.
Andrew, it's not.
Piers.
I'm going to read another verse real fast, because if it's not authority that the man has over his woman, then what does this verse mean right here? The book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 22. KJV. And while I use the King James Version of the Bible, I'll tell you all about that in a different lesson, but this is not the time for it. But there's many different versions of the scriptures out there. I particularly prescribe to the King James Version as far as the English translation, but there's other translations that I like to dive into as well. This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. Verse 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. That means if you submit to something, that means you give it authority over you. You give it full authority over it when you submit properly. So what this man Piers Morgan is saying, it's so against the scriptures. And this is the problem with modern day Christianity. This is the biggest problem with modern day Christianity.
Comes to me and says, I want you to keep me safe. She is handing me authority for her safety.
But do you understand the difference between having authority over somebody and somebody giving you permission to have authority?
Completely. I never said
one is consensual and one isn't.
But why are we pretending I do unconsensual things?
Because you literally say, I must have a degree of authority. I have to have some authority. And the point
only if I'm responsible for her safety. If I'm not responsible for her safety, I don't have authority.
If your position now is that with her permission, I would like to have authority when we go out at night to protect her. That's a different
That was
thing.
always my position.
But that's not what you said.
But that was always my position.
So again, I simply say to you,
It is what I said.
Do you wish you'd phrased it a different way?
No, because we're talking about long format copy where I'm talking about a woman who has come to me and said, you're responsible for making sure I'm safe. I said, well, then I have to make the decisions.
When an
It gives me
18-year-old
authority.
boy reads, I must have some authority over a woman, what do you think he thinks?
Well, I understand that. And I said this earlier when you tried to say I was backtracking, which I'm not doing.
No, actually, I'm not. I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to gotcha you.
Cool.
I'm trying to work out exactly what you.
I
actually
understand
think.
with massive fame comes massive responsibility. I understand that a percentage of the population are always going to take everything that's said by anybody out of context.
Would you change the wording of what you said?
No, I would just encourage people to watch my long format copy and understand it
Would
fully.
you tell an 18-year-old boy you don't have authority over women?
Absolutely.
You would say that?
Unless a woman comes to him and says, you're responsible for my safety, please make sure keep me safe. Like
I
my
see.
woman
Now
says,
that
comes to
Andrew
me.
Tate, I can sign up to.
Well, then we agree.
Yeah, but I don't agree with what you said before.
Because you're taking a soundbite from a 2-hour
Yeah, but
conversation.
you haven't been taken out of context because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
Well, you've ignored all the context around the sentence, my friend.
You can't ignore a sentence that says I must have a degree of authority.
But you can when there's a 2-hour conversation where a woman is telling me if she makes me responsible for her safety and me explaining, well, if I'm responsible for your safety, I have the authority to make decisions. So yes, you've ignored all the context.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
Now I'm gonna play this, but before I go that, I want to touch one more scripture on that actual topic, because this is First Corinthians, and when it comes to having power, or authority over each other in certain aspects, even when it comes to like sex or whatever it might be. There's a certain degree of power that the man has over the woman, and that even the woman in cases might have over the man. So we want to really point that out so we can understand, even though in this verse is mainly talking about sexual, sexual things, having sex with each other. I want to just make this clear that the word power we just read is the word authority. There's a certain degree of authority that we have to acknowledge here. So this is the book of First Corinthians, verse 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4. And it says, the wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. So when it's talking about, in certain cases, right, the wife don't have authority of her own body, but the husband, meaning, in cases regarding, how you dress, what you wear, there's certain things you might not feel comfortable with your wife wearing. You have the power to advise her, tell her, or make her not wear that as the husband. And likewise, also the husband not power over his own body, but the wife. Meaning a man can't just walk around butt naked outside, or just walk around with half naked, in public. A wife can definitely has authority to to speak up and say speak against that, including sex, There's no issue, there's no particular issue to why a man can't be having sex with his wife. The wife has authority to make him have sex with her, according to this God of this Bible. So, it's very important to understand that, because if you don't, then you'll act like there's no type of authority in a relationship at all. And in the relationship, there are degrees of authority, that have to be expressed with even both men and a woman, especially when it comes to the kids, the children. So that's very, very important, to understand that this brother is pretty much making authority seem like a bad word. It's like authority is like a cuss word right now. It's like a cuss word, like you shouldn't say that. That's how it's being used pretty much. So there's nothing wrong with authority. This world needs authority, but the thing is, it needs righteous authority. It needs good authority.
You're taking out of
or what I would say, power, control.
Context, because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
Well, you've ignored all the context around the sentence, my friend.
You can't ignore a sentence that says, I must have a degree of authority.
But you can when there's a 2-hour conversation where a woman is telling me if she...
Notice, a degree of authority. A degree of authority. But a man has full authority over his wife, especially if he's following the laws of God. He should have full authority. Why wouldn't he not? It says submit. She's supposed to submit to him in everything. This is the same, and funny, that's in the New Testament, but this guy claims he's a Christian.
He makes me responsible for her safety, and me explaining, well, if I'm responsible for your safety, I have the authority to make decisions. So yes, you've ignored all the context.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking it?
Of course I do, but I can't sit here and
for
say.
the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm
now, that is a loaded question because that's foolish. That's like saying, well, most women, you know, especially in this modern society, well, most women look better at 19 or 20 than they would as they get older. Most women look better when they're younger than they are as they get older. Now, a lot of them don't like to hear that, you know what I'm saying? And it really shouldn't have to be told. But if somebody asks the question, especially on a platform that where they're asking questions and trying to get answers out of you, yeah, when you answer that question, what's wrong with being honest and being realistic about it? And this brother just pretty much is just trying to avoid reality and try to shame this man for pretty much speaking reality. That's why in our culture, women marry younger. Matter of fact, I'm going to read that real fast so people understand. Our women always were married younger, and they remain with that one man, because after you, especially the more men you deal with, the less attractive you just become physically, but morally. So I'm going to read 1 Timothy 5, verse 14. It says, I will therefore that the younger women marry. So the younger in our culture, the women marry young. So by the time they're age woman, if their husband isn't dead, they already have been married most of the time, you know. And there's no situation to where a young woman can't get married unless she is born with some physical illness. It says, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give no occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, right? To speak shameful things about you. Because it was a shame, and people could speak shamefully about you if you were a younger woman and you were running around, hopping rod to rod, man to man, having experience with all these different people, you know, and especially if you were bearing children by these men that you were not married to. Somebody can speak reproachfully against you. And that's the case in most of these situations nowadays. These women don't decide to get married to their late 30s, early 40s. And by that time, nobody wants to marry them. That's why majority of them are not married. They just have kids by random men. So we just want to make that clear, you know, because this brother making it seem like the man is trying to offend older women when that's not what he's trying to do. He's not trying to say anything disrespectful. He's just letting you know that there's a specific age range to where you are the most beautiful. But in this society, they tell you, no, you're more beautiful as you get older and older. Maybe to your own husband, but not to men that are or women that are outside looking in.
Asking, you said this, in general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right effing now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. People say, oh, you can't say that, but yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny. Why? Because you are encouraging a mindset about 25-year-old women that...
Now I want to get the definition of misogyny, because he just pretty much there's nothing about misogyny even in that definition. But he just said that's misogyny just because he said that, you know what I'm saying? Now check this out. This is what the word misogynistic means, right? It says strongly a strongly prejudiced against women, deeply ingrained in misogynistic attitudes. Meaning you have a prejudice, a strong prejudice against women. This brother is not expressing no strong prejudice against women. But let me get misogyny now. That's misogynistic, right? Now check this out. Dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. Clearly, this brother doesn't have a prejudice or dislike or contempt for women. You know, first of all, most men don't. Most men wouldn't be misogynistic. If anything, you would have to be. How could you even be with a woman if you're misogynistic? Really, by definition, if you don't like them, if you have contempt for them, you know. So we want to just look at that definition. That definition is almost as loaded as the word homophobic. Like when people say you're homophobic, when really you're not afraid of homosexuals. And he actually asked him that in his video as well, if he was homophobic.
That makes them sound out to be infinitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds, and having effectively been.
Now, you see how he said that? He said infinitely. You are making it seem so he's loading questions and also pressing his own thoughts of what this man is saying onto the public that are watching, because there's nothing in there that says that he never said that he felt like younger women are infinitely more desirable than younger women, or that or that younger women or older women are infinitely less desirable than younger women. He never said that. He just saying that just by nature that they are usually more desirable. And he gave the reasons why, and that's true because, like he said, a lot of these women, especially here in America, on this Western world, and not just here. I've studied from different places, man. These women are in the clubs doing all type of crazy stuff. And we know that they're doing it younger and younger in this day and age. But for the most part, most women in their mid-20s, they are out doing a lot of things that us men can actually see that they're not really being as chaste, especially sexually. They're not being as chaste. A lot of them, are doing things that, just by, if you can observe them with the naked eye when you're out, you can tell this is the age range of the a lot of women that are doing some things that prove to be more experienced than them younger women, less innocence to them, So let's finish watching.
Much sex to be taken in a more respectful way.
Firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying that an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old woman.
Anti-25-year-old women we can argue. But
right, because if it was a prejudice, if it was misogynistic, he wouldn't even be able to make that statement about younger women at all, because he would have a dislike or contempt for them, for any type of woman. It doesn't matter what age range. That's what misogyny means. You dislike or have a contempt for women. You have a prejudice against women, all women, and women in general, not just older women,
Well, that's misogyny.
No, it's not.
Being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying the age.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, than ageist, perhaps, but misogynistic, absolutely.
Is that not. But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
So you don't.
Now, you see that? He said you just accepted it. Now, if anybody has been paying attention, you see how he keep pushing his own ideas on the man, and the man didn't say that. He throwing words in his mouth. He does that through the whole video, But I'm gonna end it right here because I didn't want to go too long. I just wanted to prove my point, with this, as far as that. This is what we got to deal with in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? This video just came out yesterday and it already has 1 million views. Because you're dealing with propaganda against especially our people, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who according to the Bible are the Hebrews. You are the Israelites. You are the chosen people of the Most High God. You're the people of history, who were always known as the Hebrews, until the so-called Jewish men hijack your heritage and pretending to be it. So I want y'all to get this information, follow this channel, everybody like it, share it, subscribe to it, and I'm gonna keep coming back with more and more videos like this, and on a lot of different topics and subjects that relate to our people, and relate to the agendas that they're trying to push on our people, and how they're trying to keep us silenced, especially as men, from those things that pertain to masculinity, and our women from true femininity, by pushing this feminist movement, which is really just female masculinity in disguise, and is rooted in LGBT, LGBT, the LGBT community is hijacked pretty much the whole feminist idea, you know what I'm saying? Like so it's really geared towards trying to keep men out of it, straight men, who they call cisgender. You can see that, and I'm not saying this to purposely speak against anybody within the LGBT community personally, or their beliefs or understanding, but pretty much that's what feminism does. It promotes LGBTism, but it keeps straightness for both men and women out of the equation. They don't want to see us having straight men and straight women, that actually standing up for our right to be straight and to be, the love the opposite gender, So I'm gonna keep coming out with videos like this before they decide to take me down and cancel this channel. But for the most part, I just want everybody out there that are watching to hit that like button and share this, and if there's any topics or subjects or content that y'all would like me to post or come out with, y'all can always feel free to hit my my Gmail. It's Naquan Gmail, Naquan Israel at gmail.com. I'm gonna actually leave the email in the description below. With that, I say shalom.